This is Bill Boerum. I am at the Sister Cities International Summit of mayors from U.S. and Russian cities. And this has been a long interlude since having any of these joint conferences. So I'm today with one of our keynote speakers, John Beyrle, former ambassador, U.S. ambassador to Russia, and very much involved, of course, in diplomacy during his career, and also continuing to explore ways in which U.S. and Russia relations can be improved. And within the current atmosphere, I'd like to ask John what is his role he sees as the role for non-government organizations and private citizens in improving relations between U.S. and Russia. Again, what's the importance of doing so?
Well, back when Sister Cities first initiated this, obviously the relationship between Russia and America, the Soviet Union and the United States was very different than it is today. And yet, even though we were ideologically opposed to each other, we found a way, once things opened up in the Soviet Union a bit, to begin to bring Russians and Americans together to talk about our common problems and hopefully some common approaches to global problems. That dialogue really, in a way, helped to bring about an independent Russia, the Russia that we're dealing with today, but it didn't get rid of a lot of the problems that still exist between Russia and the United States at the political level. Those are problems that we feel every day as we read the newspapers, as we see attempts by the governments to rebuild a relationship which really has deteriorated a lot in the last few years. And the role of citizen diplomacy, the role of NGOs, of foundations, of conferences, summits of mayors like this one, is more important now really than it was 5 or 6 years ago, when many people on both sides assumed that the U.S.-Russia relationship was going to be in pretty good shape and continue that way in perpetuity. We found out it's a bit like a battery that does run down from time to time and needs to be recharged. And it needs to be recharged from the top, but it also needs to be recharged from the ground up, from the grassroots. And the work that Sister Cities does, the work that the Conference of Russian Mayors does in Russia in trying to make that happen, trying to put people together, I think can't really be overstated. Because the relationship between Russia and the United States is simply too important, too complex, to be left solely in the hands of government officials in Moscow and in Washington. The U.S.-Russia Foundation that I serve on the board of is a non-political foundation that was chartered actually by Presidents Bush and Putin at their summit in St. Petersburg in 2006. It is founded, and its founding mission continues to be supporting the development of entrepreneurship in Russia and good links between Americans and Russians in the area of business and economics. You can say, what does that have to do with a conference of mayors? Mayors are on the front lines of the economies in both countries in trying to create jobs for their people, in trying to better the lives of their citizens. And the U.S.-Russia Foundation is very happy to support any effort to bring officials at the municipal level together to try to both foster that dialogue and also creatively to look for solutions to problems. Because my experience from dealing with sister cities in the past was when the mayors sit down and talk about what their problems are, they find out the problems are the same, but the ideas that the other side has sometimes are more creative than the ones that occurred to the mayors themselves. So there's a lot of productive exchange that can go on. And at a time like this, when the U.S.-Russia relationship at the top is in such a deteriorated state, to be honest, the role of officials at the municipal level is even more important.
Well, thank you, John, very much for those very insightful comments. And thanks again to the Foundation for its encouragement in supporting this conference. Thank you very much.